Okay, well, thank you to all our speakers. We've got a little bit of time still to take questions or have discussion. But, I guess the speaker's or chair's privilege, I get to say a couple of points beforehand. And I think sort of two things I'd like to say is I learned from Peter's presentation is that all this efficiency savings, to me, that really sort of coincided quite appropriately with the open data movement, and somehow that sort of starts to encourage that probably in ways that may not have necessarily occurred under other circumstances. And I think from David's presentation particularly, how do we what's the next generation of publishing data, which nicely led on to Zach's presentation and the demonstration he gave us about making linked data perhaps be part of that world and enabling people to use data. So, well, let's open it up to questions, and if you stuck your hand up after David's presentation.
Maybe I have a question about Kasapi. How many people work on this project?
My team has 6 people in it. It's built on top of the Talos platform, which has been available for 5 years or so, and that has a much bigger team.
Also a very simple question to Kasapi. How do potential contributors, publishers know Kasapi? It's the first time I've heard that.
Well, you come to events. Kasapi is currently in a very early stage of its open public beta, so we are going through lots of processes to make it available and for people to hear about it. If that's what you mean with a marketing campaign, that's one way to do it. The other thing is we're trying to tie into the open the larger communities around data. So developers who are building applications who want to make use of data sets, we're tying into those.
So to hold that professional interest, how did the English heritage become involved?
I don't know particularly for that particular data set. I'm not sure. A lot of the data sets are publicly available, so they publish the data set under certain conditions, and as long as the conditions are open enough, we've gone ahead and grabbed it and put it into the. Some of them we've spoken to people within the community, so Ordnance Survey knows about the data set, they've made it available, and they know that it's in there. So I think there's BBC Backstage data set, which has its own license, which we've made available as well. So it's lots of open data.
Thank you for the presentation. One thing that strikes me that Kasapi represents almost like Socrata with catalogues, is the second generation of catalogues, which is, it allows you to conduct analysis and visualization upon that.
Yeah.
I understand Socrata's business model. So how will you actually sustain this initiative over the long term?
Yeah. Well, the sort of public open data side is sustained by the fact that Kasapi is a commercial product. So there are potential for people who want to sell data to sell it in the same marketplace. So it'll be sustained by people who want to sell and build business models around their information. So that will sustain the open side of it. We want open data to be sustainable because we believe in the innovation that it allows, and we've been pushing for that for a long time. Also, I personally think that there are lots of people who want to meld open and public data, open and commercial data as well. So it might be that there's a particular data set that I want to purchase and then plot on Ordnance Survey, or that I want to plot on top of a map of some sort. So Kasapi is a place that will allow that as well.
There's a lot of overhead with regards to open data, for example, pulling in that data is
Yeah.
so easy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, as you mentioned, creation, you have to clean data, etc. If we can actually realise that. So
yeah, well, Kasapi gives people the ability to put their own data into the community. So it's not. We've gone out and found some open data sets in order to repopulate it, but the emphasis isn't on us going out and finding it and pulling it in and cleaning it up. It's on people giving their own data into the marketplace. So if you have a data set, if an organisation has a data set, you can put it in. So it's kind of your remit to clean and make it available. But we're trying to make the tools as easy as possible, so it's actually easier to put it into Kasapi than it is to build your own platform on which to publish your data.
Definitely that in publishing, communicating data. But just on the curation side, will your role be to maintain the links between data, sort of RDF behind it? What's the extent of your curation?
Right. Well, when you publish a data set into the marketplace, you publish it as RDF. So the links are kind of part of the model within the data itself. So it's the role of the person who's put it in. We will help with modeling things, but it's up to them to keep it up to date. But the model itself is RDF. It doesn't break very easily. So yeah. the links are kind of part of the model.
Just one question. You mentioned the open number census 2001. Can you actually expand on those conversations?
Only in the most general terms, those of you used to using 2001 census data, there's some stuff in neighbourhood statistics, and there is indeed a kind of an open feed from the Neighbourhood Statistics Service, but it's only got a small fragment of 2001 census data in it. And actually most of the 2001 data was published under a set of licences which isn't completely open, and in particular it's entangled because there's other products linked in. What ONS are trying to do is to work through whether or not an open government licence near enough can be used as a blanket publication mechanism for the 2011 census results. Reasonably hopeful about that. But their lawyers are also working on a hairy problem. If they do that, will they be able to actually, which is what I'm pressing for, take all the stuff that they published from previous digitally available censuses and bundle it into the same licence, which would be wonderful, but means unrolling some complicated stuff from the past, and that's the bit that they've got a few months still to go on that, because obviously they won't be out here. So I'm pretty optimistic about a variety of open outputs from 2011 accessible by API with a genuine open government licence, and maybe other stuff to follow. That's probably the state of play, which doesn't commit them to anything.
So who here is using open data in one form or another? We see most have not. Well, that's quite as many as I probably thought. So of those who are, or are not even actually, is accessibility to data an issue? Would you say that would knowing something about where to get data sources from, is those new areas that you've learned about, or has even knowing about Kasabi, would that encourage you to perhaps use open data more?